Picture this. You're driving on the highway, it's late. Your phone is at 11%. And then you hear it. That low, rhythmic thudding sound coming from your rear wheel that every driver instinctively knows and instinctively dreads. You pull over, you get out, you look down, and sure enough, completely flat. So you pop the trunk to grab your spare, and it's not there. Or it's there, but it's flat too. Or your car is one of the 60% of new vehicles rolling off lots today that doesn't even come with a full-size spare in the first place. And now you're standing on the side of a road at night, watching cars fly past you at 70 miles an hour, with a dead tire and no plan. Here's what nobody tells you until it's too late. There is a tool that costs $5, fits in your glove box, and can have that tire sealed and reinflated in under 10 minutes, without a jack, without a spare, and without calling anyone. Mechanics have known about it for decades. Professional off-road drivers carry it as standard kit, and most regular drivers have never heard of it. It's called a tire plug kit, and by the end of this video, you are going to know exactly how to use one, exactly when it works, exactly when it doesn't, because this is the part they never explain and it matters, and exactly why having a $5 piece of equipment in your car right now could one day save you a tow truck bill, a ruined evening, or worse. Let's get into it. Part 1. The problem that's getting worse. Before we get to the fix, let's talk about why this matters more right now than it ever has. For most of automotive history, getting a flat tire was inconvenient. Not great, but manageable, because your car had a spare. You pulled over, you got out the jack, you put the spare on, you drove to the nearest shop. Problem solved. But something quietly changed over the last 2 decades, and most drivers have no idea it happened. Automakers started removing spare tires from new vehicles. Not all of them, but enough that by recent estimates, somewhere between 40 and 60% of new cars sold today do not come with a full-size spare tire. Some come with what's called a space saver spare, that skinny little donut tire that you're supposed to drive on at max 50 miles an hour for no more than 50 miles. Some come with a run-flat tire that lets you limp to a shop after a puncture. Some come with a can of tire sealant and a little electric inflator. And some, this is the one that really gets people, some come with absolutely nothing. Why did this happen? Weight and money. A spare tire, a jack, and a lug wrench together can add anywhere from 30 to 50 pounds to a vehicle. Automakers discovered that removing that weight improves fuel economy numbers. And since government fuel economy ratings directly affect what manufacturers can sell, out went the spare. They also save a few $100s per vehicle in production costs. And since most drivers never check what's actually in their trunk before they buy, nobody pushed back. AAA tracked this for years and found that in 2024 alone, they responded to nearly 3 million roadside calls involving flat tires. 3 million. And in a separate study, they found that more than 30% of drivers who had no spare ended up calling for roadside assistance, sometimes waiting hours, for a problem that in most cases could have been solved in minutes on the side of the road with equipment smaller than a ballpoint pen. That's the problem. Now let's talk about the solution. Part 2. What a tire plug kit actually is. A tire plug kit is one of those things that looks too simple to work until you understand what's actually happening inside the tire. Here's the basic concept. The vast majority of flat tires, we're talking something like 80 to 90% of roadside flat tire situations, are caused by a simple puncture, a nail, a screw, a piece of metal debris, something sharp that poked through the tread and either stayed stuck in the tire or left a small hole when it fell out. That hole is usually small. A nail is maybe 1/8 of an inch in diameter. A screw might be slightly bigger, but it's essentially a tiny channel through your tire's rubber and steel belts, and air is slowly bleeding out through it. A tire plug kit seals that channel from the outside without you needing to remove the wheel from the car, without any jacks, without any special knowledge, and with tools that collectively cost less than a fast food meal. A full tire plug kit typically contains 3 things: First, a reaming tool, also called a rasp tool. It looks like a large needle or an awl with a rough, raspy surface. You push this into the puncture hole and work it back and forth to clean out the hole and slightly roughen the edges so the plug will grip. Second, an insertion tool shaped like a large needle with an eye at the tip, similar to a sewing needle but much thicker. This is what you use to push the plug into the hole. Third, the plugs themselves. These are thick, sticky cords made from a rubber-like composite material coated in adhesive. They look a bit like flat shoelaces made out of dark rubber. When you push one of these into a puncture, it expands slightly inside the tire. The adhesive bonds with the rubber, and it creates an airtight seal. That's the whole kit. Some kits also include a small tube of rubber cement to help seat the plug more securely. Some include a razor blade or small knife to trim the excess plug material flush with the tire surface after installation. The full deluxe version costs maybe $15. The basic version is $5. And you never have to replace it unless you use it, in which case, replacement plugs come in packs for about $2. Part 3. How to actually use it, step by step. Okay, this is the part that actually matters. Let's walk through the exact process so that if you're ever on the side of the road, you can do this from memory. Pull over somewhere safe and flat. This should be obvious, but it's worth saying. Do not attempt this on a slope, in traffic, or anywhere you can't safely stand next to your vehicle. Turn on your hazard lights the moment you feel the flat. Get as far off the road as you can. Engage your parking brake. Step 2. Find the puncture. Sometimes this is obvious. You'll see the nail or screw still sticking out of the tread. Other times you'll need to look more carefully. Run your hand lightly over the tread surface. If you've got a little water bottle in the car, and you should always have one, pour some water onto the tire and look for bubbling. That bubbling will show you exactly where air is escaping. Mark the spot if you need to, a piece of chalk, a pen mark, anything that helps you keep track of it. Step 3. If there's an object still in the tire, a nail, a screw, anything, remove it with pliers. Yes, this will let air start escaping faster. That's okay. You're going to work quickly from here. Just grab it, pull it straight out, and move immediately to the next step. Step 4. Insert the reaming tool into the hole. Push it in firmly. You're going through steel belts here, so this takes real pressure. Work it in and out of the hole several times, about 3 to 5 passes. What you're doing is cleaning out any debris and roughening the inner walls of the puncture channel so the plug will bond properly. This step is important. Don't skip it. A plug inserted into an unreamed hole is much more likely to fail or leak. Step 5. Take a plug strip and thread it through the eye of the insertion tool, centering it so equal lengths hang out on both sides. If your kit came with rubber cement, coat the plug generously now. This step is optional, but it genuinely improves the bond. Step 6. Push the insertion tool with the plug threaded through it straight into the puncture hole. Push firmly and steadily until approximately ½ an inch to 3/4 of an inch of plug material is still visible above the tire surface. Don't twist on the way in. Step 7. Now, with a firm grip, give the tool a 90-degree twist and pull it straight back out in one smooth motion. The slot in the tool releases the plug, which stays seated in the tire while the tool comes out clean. You should see the two ends of the plug sticking out from the tread surface. Step 8. Trim the excess plug flush with the tire surface using a knife, razor blade, or sharp scissors. This step keeps the plug from catching on the road and pulling out while you drive. Step 9. Reinflate the tire. You can use a portable air compressor, and I'll talk about why you should also have one of these in a minute. Or you can drive slowly to the nearest gas station and use the air there. Inflate to the recommended pressure, which is printed on the sticker inside your driver's side door jamb. Step 10. Check the repair with the soapy water test. Spray or pour water over the plug area and watch for bubbles. No bubbles means the seal is holding. You're good to go. The whole process takes between 5 and 15 minutes, depending on how fast you work. I'll be honest, the first time you do it, especially the reaming step, It takes a little more effort than you expect. You are pushing a rough metal tool through a tire's steel belt. It requires some force, but it is completely doable for any average adult with functioning hands, and the physical effort involved drops significantly the second time you do it, once you know what to expect. Part 4. The part everyone skips and shouldn't. This is the most important section in this video, because I've seen people plug a tire and drive away feeling like experts, and I've also seen what happens when someone plugs a tire they shouldn't have plugged. A tire plug works incredibly well in one specific scenario: a small puncture under a 1/4 inch in diameter located in the tread area of the tire, caused by a nail, screw, or similar object. That's it. That is the one scenario where a plug is appropriate. There are several situations where you absolutely should not plug a tire, and I need you to remember these. First, and most importantly, the sidewall. If your puncture is on the sidewall of the tire, the vertical curved surface between the tread and the rim, do not plug it. Do not try to patch it. Do not do anything except either call a tow truck or put on a spare. This is a hard rule with no exceptions. The sidewall of a tire is under completely different stresses than the tread. It flexes constantly as you drive. A plug in the sidewall will not hold, and more importantly, a punctured sidewall may indicate structural damage to the tire itself. A blowout on a sidewall-compromised tire at highway speed is not a minor inconvenience. It is a dangerous vehicle control emergency. If the damage is in the sidewall, the tire gets replaced. Full stop. Large holes. If the puncture is larger than a 1/4 inch in diameter, so bigger than the diameter of a standard pencil eraser, the plug will not seal it properly. You need a toe and a replacement tire. The shoulder area. The shoulder is the curved section where the tread transitions into the sidewall. Some kits and some shops will repair shoulder punctures, some won't. If you're doing a roadside repair yourself, treat shoulder punctures with the same caution you'd give a sidewall puncture. If you're not sure, don't plug it. Fourth, if you drove on the flat. If you drove any significant distance on a flat tire, more than a 1/4 mile or so, you may have caused internal structural damage to the tire that isn't visible from the outside. The sidewall flexes and generates intense heat when it's running without air pressure, and that heat can degrade the internal steel belts in ways that no external inspection will reveal. A plug will hold air just fine in a structurally compromised tire, right up until it doesn't. Get it inspected by a professional before you trust it at highway speeds. Multiple punctures close together, 2 or more holes within a few inches of each other, weaken the tire structurally. Don't plug both and call it fixed. Have a shop evaluate whether the tire can be safely repaired at all. Now, one more thing about plugs that the kit manufacturers don't exactly advertise. The U.S. Tire Manufacturers Association, which sets the official industry standards for tire repairs, does not classify a plug alone as a permanent repair. Their approved permanent repair is a combination plug patch, which requires removing the tire from the rim and applying a patch to the inner liner from the inside, while also filling the puncture channel from the outside. This is what a professional tire shop does when they tell you they're patching your tire. A plug is a temporary repair that gets you safely to a shop. A properly installed plug will often hold for weeks, months, or in many documented cases years. Some reports say up to 25,000 miles. But the official industry position is that after you plug your tire, you should get it professionally inspected and, ideally, have a proper plug package combination repair done as soon as practical. Think of the plug as the thing that turns a stranded situation into a drive to the shop situation, which, honestly, is all you need it to do. Part 5. Building your $5 flat tire survival kit. Let's talk about exactly what you should have in your car right now, so you're never standing on the side of the road, helpless. The core piece of equipment is the tire plug kit itself. You want the version that comes with both the T-handle reaming tool and the T-handle insertion tool. Some of the very cheap kits cut corners and only give you the insertion tool without the reamer, and that's not what you want. You also want at least 5 or 6 plugs included, and rubber cement if possible. If you want a professional-grade kit, look at Safety Seal or similar brands. These are what off-road drivers and mechanics carry. If you want the budget option, the basic kits at any auto parts store will do the job. The second thing you want, and this is critical, is a portable air compressor. A plug seals the hole, but it doesn't reinflate the tire. If you're on the side of the road and there's no gas station nearby, you need to be able to put air back in the tire yourself. Small 12-volt air compressors plug into your car's power outlet. They're about the size of a hardcover book. They cost between $20 and $40, and they will inflate a standard passenger tire from flat to full pressure in about 5 to 8 minutes. Some of them also come with a built-in pressure gauge. This is the other piece of equipment that every car should have, regardless of whether you carry a plug kit. The third piece is a pair of pliers, needle nose if possible, for pulling nails and screws out of the tire. Your plug kit won't come with these. A cheap pair from any hardware store is fine. And the fourth is a flashlight or headlamp, because flats have a way of happening at night. That's your complete kit. Tire plug kit, portable air compressor, pliers, flashlight. Total cost is somewhere between $25 and $60, depending on the quality you go for. It all fits in a small bag that slides under a seat or sits in a corner of the trunk, and it turns a flat tire from a multi-hour nightmare into a 15-minute inconvenience. Part 6. Real-world situations and what to actually do. Let's run through some real scenarios so you know exactly what decision to make in each one. Scenario 1. You're driving and notice a slow leak. Your TPMS light comes on. That's the tire pressure warning light. And one tire is noticeably lower than the others but not fully flat. You pull over, you find a nail in the tread. This is the perfect plug scenario. The tire still has air. You locate the nail, remove it, ream the hole, plug it, reinflate it, check the seal. You're back on the road in 10 minutes. Scenario 2. You get a flat fast. A blowout or a sudden full deflation, you pull over immediately. You check the tire and find a screw in the tread. The tire is completely flat. Same situation as scenario 1. You plug it, reinflate it with your portable compressor, check the seal, drive to the nearest shop to have it properly inspected and repaired. Scenario 3. You get a flat and find a puncture in the sidewall. Do not plug it. Call roadside assistance or put on the spare if you have one. This is a tire replacement situation. Scenario 4. You drove on the flat before you realized what was happening, maybe a mile or two. Plug the tire if the puncture is in the tread and the hole is under a 1/4 inch. But drive cautiously, stay under 50 miles an hour, and go directly to a tire shop. You need an internal inspection before you trust that tire again. Scenario 5. You find your tire flat with no visible cause, no nail, no screw, no object. This happens. Sometimes a nail falls out. Sometimes there's a very fine crack or a slow leak from the valve stem. Spray the whole tire down with soapy water and look for bubbling. Check the valve stem too. That's the little rubber protrusion where you add air. If the bubble is at the valve stem, that's a simple valve stem replacement at any tire shop, often free or a few dollars. If you find a hole in the tread, plug procedure is normal. If you genuinely can't find the source and the tire keeps losing air, you need a shop. Scenario 6. You're out of cell service. It's dark, you're in the middle of nowhere, and the flat is in the sidewall. This is the nightmare scenario that a plug kit cannot help with. This is exactly why, even if you have a plug kit and a compressor, having roadside assistance coverage through your insurance or AAA membership is a good idea. It's also why knowing the location of your nearest tire shop before a long drive is a simple habit worth building. The thing that almost nobody does and costs them every time. Here is the single most important habit you can build around tire safety, and it costs you about 3 minutes a month. Check your tire pressure. That is it. That is the whole tip. But let me explain why this matters so much, that it changes the math on almost everything we've talked about. Tires lose pressure naturally, even without punctures. Just from temperature changes and normal permeability, a tire can lose 1 to 2 pounds per square inch of pressure per month. In cold weather, that number gets bigger. A tire that's 15 to 20% underinflated looks visually normal to most people. You can't eyeball a few psi, but it's running hot, wearing unevenly, and is significantly more vulnerable to the kind of impact damage that causes sudden flats. Most cars built after 2008 have a tire pressure monitoring system, the TPMS light. But this light doesn't come on until you're already about 25% below recommended pressure. By that point, damage may already be accumulating. Checking your tire pressure takes 3 minutes. You need a tire pressure gauge. The cheapest ones cost about $2 and live permanently in your glove box. You check each tire, compare to the recommended PSI on your door jamb sticker, and use the air hose at any gas station to top off as needed. Most gas stations still have this for free. Do this once a month, set a phone reminder if you need to, and you'll dramatically reduce the frequency of flats, extend the life of your tires, and improve your fuel economy as a bonus. Also, check the condition of your spare tire. This is the one that really surprises people. Spare tires expire. The rubber compounds in a tire degrade over time, regardless of whether the tire has ever touched the road. After about 10 years, the structural integrity of a tire drops to the point where it's no longer safe to drive on. The last 2 digits stamped in the DOT number on your tire's sidewall indicate the year it was manufactured. Check it. If your spare is over 10 years old, replace it. And if you have a spare, donut or full size, make sure it's properly inflated. A flat spare does you exactly 0 good. Part 8. Why this skill is worth more than the $5. Let me put some numbers on this for a second, because I think it helps clarify why this matters. A tow truck, depending on where you are and the time of day, costs somewhere between $75 and $200 for a local tow. A roadside tire change service from a third-party provider is typically $50 to $100. Even a call to AAA, which costs you an annual membership fee, means waiting, sometimes hours, for someone to arrive. A tire plug kit costs $5 to $15. The portable air compressor costs $20 to $40. The pliers cost $3. You do this repair yourself in 10 to 15 minutes. You drive directly to a tire shop for a proper permanent repair, and your total cost is whatever the shop charges for a plug patch combo, which is typically $15 to $30, versus the alternative, which is waiting on the side of the road, paying for a tow, potentially missing something important, and arriving at the shop anyway. But here's the thing that goes beyond money. Knowing how to handle this situation, having the equipment and the knowledge, completely changes the psychological experience of getting a flat tire. It goes from a crisis to an inconvenience. It goes from helpless to capable. You get out of the car, you assess the situation, you execute the repair, you get back in the car and drive. That shift from being someone things happen to being someone who handles things is worth more than any dollar amount. There are a handful of things in the automotive world that are genuinely simple, genuinely cheap, and genuinely useful in a way that most people don't know about. The tire plug kit is at the top of that list. It's been sitting in professional and off-road communities for decades. Mechanics consider it basic equipment. It works for the vast majority of roadside flat situations. It requires no mechanical background, no special training, and no strength beyond what an average person has. All it requires is knowing it exists, having it in your car, and knowing how to use it before you need to. Go buy a tire plug kit today. Throw it in your glove box or your trunk with a pair of pliers and a portable compressor. It'll probably sit there for years. You might never need it. But the day you do need it, stranded on a dark road, phone dying, cars rushing past, you are going to be very glad it's there.